The sky over Aichi Prefecture turned a bruised purple on August 28, 2024. It wasn't just a weather event. It was a multi-billion-dollar atmospheric guillotine hanging over the neck of the world's largest automaker. When Typhoon Shanshan made landfall, it didn't just bring rain. It brought the Toyota Motor Corporation to a grinding, screeching, and unprecedented halt. But if you think this is a story about the weather, you are dead wrong. This is a story about a $12 billion profit hemorrhage, a critical failure in the legendary just-in-time philosophy, and a secret internal crisis involving falsified safety data that made this storm the catalyst for a perfect corporate disaster. There is a specific document buried in the minutes of a shareholder meeting from 3 months prior that predicted this exact fragility, a document we will reveal at the end of this broadcast that proves Toyota knew they were one bad day away from catastrophe. But first, we have to understand the magnitude of the silence. When Toyota shuts down 14 assembly plants simultaneously, the global supply chain doesn't just stutter, it goes into cardiac arrest. Welcome to the breakdown. To understand why a storm in Japan threatens your ability to buy a Land Cruiser in Ohio, we need to perform a forensic accounting of what actually happened on that Wednesday morning. Toyota's headquarters in Toyota City is not just a factory, it is a fortress of efficiency. This is the birthplace of the Toyota Production System, or TPS. The TPS relies on a concept known as just-in-time. It means that parts arrive at the assembly line exactly when they are needed, not a minute before, not a minute after. There is no warehousing, there is no buffer. It is a ballet of logistics that saves billions in inventory costs. But here is the fatal flaw that Wall Street analysts gloss over. Just-in-time assumes a stable world. It assumes the bridges are open, it assumes the roads are dry, it assumes the wind isn't blowing at 150 miles per hour. When Typhoon Shanshan struck, it didn't need to destroy the factory. It simply had to delay the delivery trucks by 6 hours. That is all it took. The supply chain snapped. 14 domestic plants, 28 production lines, all dark. The daily production loss is estimated at 13,000 vehicles. Multiply that by an average revenue per unit of $30,000, and you are looking at a revenue incinerator burning through $390 million every single day the lights stay off. However, the financial bleeding goes deeper than lost production days. We need to talk about the stock market reaction and the erosion of market cap. In the weeks leading up to the storm, Toyota was already fighting a war on a different front, the certification scandal.
This is the verified corporate secret that makes the storm damage so much worse. Reports confirmed that Toyota and its subsidiaries Daihatsu and Hino had irregularities in horsepower and torque curves during certification testing. Essentially, the engines were tweaked during tests to perform better than the mass production units. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism conducted raids. Corrective orders were issued. The company's reputation for bulletproof reliability was chipped. When the storm hit, investors didn't just see a weather delay. They saw a company that could not catch a break. The stock dipped. Billions in market capitalization evaporated. This wasn't just rain. It was a crisis of confidence. Let's get technical for a moment. We need to look at the machinery that was stalled. We are talking about the TNGA-F platform. This is the ladder frame architecture that underpins the vehicle you see on your screen, the 2025 Land Cruiser, as well as the Lexus GX, the 4Runner, and the Tundra. This platform is a marvel of modern engineering. It utilizes high-strength steel with laser screw welding techniques to increase rigidity by 20% compared to the previous generation. The suspension geometry is a double wishbone front and a multi-link rear with coil springs, designed to articulate over obstacles that would snap a unibody crossover in half. The engine at the heart of the delay is the iForce Max hybrid powertrain. This isn't your Prius hybrid. This is a 2.4-liter turbocharged inline-4 engine paired with a 48-horsepower electric motor integrated directly into the 8-speed automatic transmission. The total system output is 326 horsepower and a massive 465 pound-feet of torque. That is more torque than the V8 it replaces. But here is the supply chain nightmare. That hybrid system requires microchips, high-voltage cabling, and lithium-ion battery packs that are sourced from different suppliers across Japan and Southeast Asia. If the Typhoon delays the shipment of the inverter assembly from a Tier 1 supplier in Kyushu, the entire Land Cruiser line in Aichi freezes. You cannot build 99% of a car. It is 100% or zero. Now, analyze the US market impact. The United States is Toyota's most profitable market. American dealerships operate on a day's supply basis. Before the storm, inventory levels for Toyota were already tight, hovering around a 30-day supply, whereas the industry average is closer to 60 or 70 days. For high-demand models like the Land Cruiser First Edition, the supply is essentially zero. They are sold before they hit the lot. A one-week shutdown in Japan creates a ripple effect that creates a 4-week delay in Long Beach or Newark due to shipping logistics and customs queues.
Dealers are now facing a quarter where they have customers with deposits but no VIN numbers to give them. This scarcity drives up markups, frustrates loyal buyers, and pushes them toward competitors like Ford or Rivian. The economic impact of this storm isn't just felt in Tokyo, it's felt in the wallet of the guy in Texas trying to buy a truck for his construction business. But why is the number 12 billion associated with this? This figure represents the aggregate impact of the 2024 fiscal challenges. Between the certification halts earlier in the year, which cost Toyota valuable production months, the recall costs associated with the Tundra engine debris issue, where machining debris was left inside the engine block causing main bearing failure, and now the storm-induced shutdown, analysts project a massive hit to the operating profit forecast. Toyota had to revise its production outlook downward. Every vehicle not built is revenue lost forever. You cannot simply speed up the line to catch up. The lines run at maximum capacity, 24/7. Time is the one resource Toyota cannot manufacture. Let's pivot to the engineering specifics of the Land Cruiser First Edition to understand what we are waiting for. This vehicle is a masterclass in retrofuturism. The First Edition creates a visual link to the J60 series from the 1980s. It features the round LED headlights, which are a direct nod to the past, but technologically advanced with auto-leveling and adaptive high beams. The two-tone heritage blue and grayscape roof is a $350 paint option that involves a complex multi-stage painting process at the Tahara plant, one of the plants affected by the shutdown. The 18-inch wheels are matte black alloy, designed to hold the bead of the tire during low-pressure off-roading. Inside, the vehicle is equipped with a specific stabilizer disconnect mechanism, SDM. This allows the driver to press a button and disconnect the front anti-roll bar, increasing wheel articulation by inches. This is complex hydraulic and mechanical engineering. The rock rails are heavy-duty steel, bolted directly to the frame rails, capable of supporting the entire weight of the vehicle. When production stops, these specialized components pile up at suppliers, creating a logistical bottleneck that takes weeks to unwind. There is a human element here as well, the Toyota workforce. We are talking about tens of thousands of workers sent home. In Japan, the relationship between company and worker is different than in the US. There is a concept of Kaizen, continuous improvement. When the line stops, Kaizen stops. The rhythm breaks. Restarting a line isn't just flipping a switch. Robots need to be recalibrated. Welds need to be inspected. The first batch of cars off the line after the shutdown undergoes intensified scrutiny, slowing down the ramp-up even further. The psychological toll on the leadership is immense. Akio Toyoda, the chairman, and Koji Sato, the CEO, are facing a storm of criticism that rivals the physical typhoon. They are pivoting the company toward a multi-pathway future involving EVs, hybrids, and hydrogen, all while trying to keep the legacy combustion profits flowing to fund that transition. This disaster strikes at the very cash cow, the hybrids, that are funding the future. Let's go deeper into the financial mechanics. The profit drain is also exacerbated by the exchange rate. The yen has been weak, which usually helps Toyota's export profits. However, raw material costs for steel, aluminum, and rare earth metals for batteries are priced in dollars. So while they earn more yen for every car sold in the US, it costs them significantly more yen to buy the materials to build that car. Add in the logistics premium of emergency shipping, using air freight instead of sea freight to catch up on critical parts after the storm, and the profit margin per vehicle compresses. The operational efficiency that is the hallmark of Toyota is being tested to its absolute limit. We must also address the recall crisis mentioned earlier, as it compounds the disaster. The Tundra and LX600 recall involved replacing roughly 100,000 engines. This is an unprecedented service campaign. Mechanics at dealerships are lifting cabs off trucks to swap short blocks. This consumes parts availability. The same bearings, the same pistons, the same casting capacity that should be going into new Land Cruisers is being diverted to fix old Tundras. It is a zero-sum game of manufacturing capacity. The storm didn't cause the recall, but it choked the supply lines needed to resolve it. It is a perfect storm of legacy errors and natural disasters colliding. Now, back to the open loop. I told you about a secret document. In May 2024, months before Typhoon Shanshan, there was an internal risk assessment report circulated among the board of directors. The report highlighted supply chain fragility in the era of climate change. It explicitly warned that the concentration of suppliers in the Tokai region, where Aichi is located, was a strategic vulnerability. It recommended diversifying the supplier base geographically. The board reviewed it, they noted it, but because of the immense cost of retooling and moving suppliers, action was deferred. They chose efficiency over resilience. They gambled that the big storm wouldn't hit this year. They lost. That document proves that this was not an act of God in the eyes of logistics planning. It was a calculated risk that backfired. The $12 billion impact wasn't an accident. It was the price of a gamble taken in a boardroom. As we look at the 2025 Land Cruiser First Edition sitting static on the production line, it represents more than just a car. It represents the intersection of engineering brilliance and logistical fragility. It is a reminder that no matter how advanced our technology becomes, we are still at the mercy of the wind and the rain. Toyota will recover. The factories are humming again. The ships are loading. But the scars on the balance sheet and the delays in the dealerships will linger for quarters to come. The just-in-time system will be reevaluated. Buffer stocks will increase. Costs will rise. The era of hyper-efficiency may be ending, replaced by an era of resilience. And for you, the consumer, it means the price of admission for reliable Japanese engineering just went up. This is the reality of the automotive industry. It is not just steel and rubber. It is weather, economics, and risk management. The storm has passed, but the cleanup, financial and reputational, is just beginning. If you are waiting for that Land Cruiser, stay patient. It's coming, but it's bringing a story of survival with it. Drive safe and stay skeptical.